Hello, welcome to this video presentation of the Fortnite custom level. Now, this Fortnite custom level is for a 2-player co-op experience in the style of It Takes Two and We Were Here. Now, upon starting the level, the players are greeted with a UI pop-up that essentially gives them information about the level. So once they select it, they can start the level. However, I won't be doing this through gameplay and will be using the editor mode just because it's a little easier for me to go through this process of talking about the design decision and rationale. So upon loading into the level, players 1 and 2 start in this very beginning room together to guide them. Now, immediately once they load in, you can see the vibrant colours of red and green on the very bottom wall. Now this is used as a visual tool of affordance and guidance to help guide them on the right path on where player 1 is going to be and player 2. Upon going through the rift, ideally these players would be locked out and wouldn't be able to leave these areas until their levels are complete. However, due to verse issues, this couldn't be done. So you can clearly see by the number 1 on the left side that player 1 is the green and player 2 is red on the right side. And it's a very basic concept in terms of design, and it's just used to help guide them. So player 1 will then go into their rift and spawn in the very first area. Now, upon opening the door, as you can see, player 1 is immediately greeted with a pickup coin, which is used as a reward for XP, helping them understand that pickups of coins play a vital role to the level itself, and I use these as a guidance tool and another visual affordance. This is in relation to the different player motivations, like extrinsic motivations, and suiting the different player types, like explorers and achievers, to help boost their levels up in a more efficient way and make the level more fun. So, as you can see, the very first room is quite big. These could have been scaled down, however, it's probably a good thing that they were left to a bigger scale as there was just more to explore. So, in this first room, player 1 is essentially tasked to locate a pickup, grappler, and find 2 triggers to open 2 locked doors on player 2's side. Now, because of the coin pickup, player 1 knows that there was a hint or something along the right lines of where they're supposed to be going and finding a painting that they can walk through. Now, since I'm in the editor mode, I won't be able to pick up the grappler. However, areas that I can't go up to, you can just pretend essentially that I would have got up there using the grappler. So, continuing on in that first room from player 1's perspective, they go to the second side room and see another coin, so they know there's something here, and they find the very first door trigger. Now, once the player 1 steps over this trigger, player 1 will then tell player 2, "Hello, I've stepped on the trigger, the door should now be unlocked." So, while player 2 is doing their thing in their first area, player 1 will then grapple up here to the higher ground as they realise there was a hole in the ceiling, seeing another coin, which leads to a second trigger, opening the second door for player 2. So now moving on to player 2's perspective of their first room, it's very much similar. It's still quite big, but it's a factory setting this time round. So player 2 will also have to navigate through the level and see if they can figure out what's going on. Similarly, player 2 will have to find an item to then reach another hole in the ceiling for their trigger. Now player 2 would see this locked door. This was for the first trigger. That was seen by player 1's perspective. Now player 2 would say, player 1, there's a locked door here, I need you to activate something from your end. And then when player 1 steps on the trigger, player 2 will be like, okay, it's now unlocked, and now player 2 can open it. Now, here is a jetpack which player 2 would now have. Now, it's the same concept as the grappler. You unfortunately can't see this since I'm in the edit mode. So player 2 will then fly up here and essentially do the same process of finding a trigger for player 1 so they can progress. Now we're going to continue from player 2's perspective. Now this locked door is the one that got unlocked by player 1's second trigger. And now player 2 can continue onto the second puzzle. Now this is a jumping puzzle. Since I don't have a high-end PC, I'm going to just fly. Because of the frame rate, it's very difficult for me to manage this. And I'm not personally comfortable with the new vaulting mechanics of Fortnite. So player 2 will essentially jump through these sections. I know these work because I've done them once already. However, these are a lot harder. And once the player 2 reached the end of the jumping puzzle, it led to another trigger, which opens up the second doorway behind this one. Now, this is from the perspective of player 1 again, which was shown by the green. Once again, it's another invisible painting that the player can walk through. Initially, this would have been the door's combination lock. However, due to me not having any experience in this, I would have to code it, and this would just take too long in terms of the development process of this level. So now that that has been opened using the trigger, this door can now be opened. And now player 2 once again has a second jumping puzzle, which is a little simpler than the first one. And then player 2 would jump up until they reached the top, which leads to the second to last trigger. Now, the rift is used to teleport player 2 above player 1's location of their final room. This final room is a maze, so player 1 is in the maze at this point, while player 2 here is above him and will have to guide him on the right path. Now, the door is locked for player 2 up here and will require a trigger from player 1 to be stepped on. So player 2 will have to guide him to the trigger, which is right here. And player 2 would have to say, player 1 go left, up, right, down until they reached this trigger. Stepping on it will open the final door for player 2 and player 2 can leave. However, before player 2 can leave, player 2 will need to make sure that they guide player 1 to their doorway. So now player 1 would then navigate the maze until they reach the final doorway, which is right here. And once player 1 goes through this doorway, they have now finished the level. And it's essentially the same concept from player 2's perspective, where they'll have to do the same. Once both players pick up this final coin, the level is over. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next presentation, which will be the Far Cry one.